So we've been doing betterhumanology for like almost half a year now, right? Or half a year. Something like that.
Yeah, I think it's at half a year.
And this, in all honesty, was one of the very first ideas we had for an experiment.
Faster than a speeding bullet.
I ran until my muscles burned and my veins pumped battery acid.
More powerful than a locomotive.
An idea is like a virus. Resilient. Highly contagious.
Able to leap tall buildings in a single bound.
Hey guys, don't forget to stop over at betterhumanology.com and sign up for a free membership. You'll get access to all kinds of free stuff, all kinds of tools and things that's going to make you become a better human.
Yeah, just do a little stopover on the internet.
Yeah,
right.
just a little drive-by. Pull on down.
And hey guys, it's Dee, the producer. If you like what you're hearing, please stop by iTunes, leave us a review. We prefer 5 stars because we try to give you 5-star information. So please return the favor for us and write some tidbits about what you like about the show because we try to give you guys the good information. So please help us out as well.
Dee, I'm really glad to have you on the podcast this week.
Yeah.
I'm really glad to be here. It's been about time.
Yeah,
I've been behind the scenes
for too long, but so Dee is an integral part to the Better Humanology podcast. Not many people know it, but now you do.
Out from the shadows.
He's a stander. He's a stander. He's a better humanologist, and he's here.
Yep.
He'll be stopping in from time to time.
Known these guys for a while now, and it's good to be working on this project with them. So
we probably should do a formal introduction at some point, but
we really should.
I think we should just hop into
save it for later.
Why the hell we should stand up in this podcast. Today we are talking standing because we all sit too much. And we actually stumbled across, we in all honesty, we've known about it for a long time. Sitting is bad for you. It's been in the news. It's been on blogs. It's been on articles. It's been everywhere. People talking about sitting being bad for you. So we wanted to try standing for a change, standing for long durations and seeing what's up. So we wanted to give it a try, and we did. Little miscommunication on the experiment, I will say. And I'm going to have Talon talk about that in just a second. But first, let's talk about,
Why?
Well, why do we want to stand? We want to burn more calories. We want to think better. We want to be better. We want to be better humans, so we want to stand up more, right?
Right. I mean, everybody knows. I mean, you've heard it work like, if you work so many hours, every hour for 10 minutes, you should probably get up and move around. This kind of falls in that same kind of philosophy, right? I mean, sitting literally is killing Americans, right?
It's killing everyone.
It's killing everyone. Dude, some of the research that we found this week for the experiment is really mind-boggling. I mean, it's so scary.
Let me hear some of it.
I mean, all right, it's crazy. So, in 2008, I know so it's a little bit dated, but Vanderbilt found that
But it's Vanderbilt. Who cares if it's dated?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big name.
The big V.
They say the average American spends about 8 hours a day sitting. And so some other research that we found this week, guys, is that folks that sit over 6 hours or at least 6 hours a day and are mostly sedentary have a 40% more likelihood to die within the next 15 years.
Just dead. Dead as a doornail.
More chance to be dead.
Which makes me want to go out on a limb here and say, if you are sitting right now listening to this podcast, stand up.
You're wrong.
You're wrong.
Yep.
I don't care if you're driving right now. Stand up. Stand up. There is a way. Don't make excuses. You got cruise control. You can stand up in your chair. There's some way that you could be unsafe, hazardous, and nearly kill yourself, but you could stand up for the sake of better humanology. All right, so we got the why. What will standing help? Will it help our longevity? Will it help us be better humans? What's standing going to help us do?
I mean, for me, I think some of the obvious ones, we got to be burning more calories while we're standing because
a lot more.
In my case, during the experiment, when I'm standing, I'm just that much more likely to be moving, that much more likely to be active because I'm already in a position to be active. When you're sitting down, I mean, what are your options really?
You can sit down.
Yeah, you can lift the fork to your mouth. I mean,
oh, so you only sit down when you eat.
You can grab the remote and flip the channel. You can move the mouse, right? I mean, but when you're standing, I mean, you can be doing a little dance while you're slicing, your veggies for your meal. I mean, there's things just come to you. You're that much more active because you're already in an active position.
All right, so you're saying that standing will make you more active by being in an active position.
Yeah, I mean, it does that for me. I mean, that was just kind of inherent. When I was standing, I was just that much more active.
Okay, so we've been talking about this actual experiment for a long time, right?
Yeah.
So, in all honesty, we've been doing betterhumanology for like almost half a year now, right? Or half a year, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's at half a year.
And this... Yep. In all honesty, was one of the very first ideas we had for an experiment.
Yeah, but it was quickly scratched off.
We have a veto rule, so anybody can veto the other person if they have an experiment idea. So who vetoed the standing experiment?
Oh, it was definitely me.
Yeah, why didn't you want to do the standing experiment back in January?
I was just getting ready to start my grad school program, and
he didn't want to be that guy.
I didn't want to break in as that guy standing in the back or staying on the side of the class, like super weird. I mean, it didn't matter if it was just for the first class even. I'd be labeled that guy forever, and it literally, I think, was that first week that we were definitely considering it the most.
But I do think that I was like, I think that we should talk about that for a second because I guarantee there's somebody right here are listening to the podcast right now who's headed to work or something, and they are like, I don't want to be that guy at work who's standing up while everyone's sitting down, right? There's got to be someone listening who's gonna fit in that category, but we just gotta next that right now. It's okay to stand up, be different. Because
break the mold.
It is so much better for you. You're going to feel better, everything. So let's talk about kind of our hypothesis going into this experiment. Talon, what did you think about standing for long periods of time? And I want to know a little bit about your misinterpretation of the experiment.
Right. We'll have to get to that. Hypothesis real quick. For me, it's going to sound silly, but I know we've talked about it before. And I gave kind of a little teaser to it earlier, but I'm a big advocate of incorporating dancing into whatever you're doing all the time.
And so you didn't just say that you dance?
No, I'm a dancer, and not a literal dancer like I can dance. I just do it often. That's
Wait, so not literal, but you actually literally do it? I'm confused.
Yeah. Literally.
All right.
Not literally, but literally.
But literally, I just dance all the time. All right.
Yeah, so, I mean, standing kind of falls in line, with that. I mean, basically, all the benefits that I would have talked about in the physical sense of dancing apply in this situation as well. I mean, the one measurement, that I took was heart rate, but before it even started, I thought, well, if I'm standing, my heart rate is going to be, that much faster just because I'm at least exerting some kind of force on my body instead of just letting it, lay on the comfiness of the couch or what have you. So, I mean, I expected that we were going to see some kind of results about how standing was easily, good for you or more effective for you than sitting is.
So you thought for sure it would be better, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, duh, right?
Right. And I had a very similar thought process. I thought that standing was obviously going to burn more calories and be better for you. But I did think, I knew it would be taxing, but I feel like, having some insider information on that because I had a job that required me to stand on my feet at all times when I was younger, in high school and stuff. All right, so when I was in high school, I obviously had to stand all the time for the jobs that I had, at least the first jobs that the IRS knew about. I was standing.
What jobs were those?
That the IRS knew about?
Yeah.
My very first legitimate job was working at a movie theater.
Ooh.
Yeah, so working
Box
in the
office boy.
working in the box office, selling tickets. You literally go in this little air-conditioned box and you sell tickets for 8 hours, and then you can leave.
And
But
you work hard on your feet all day, the entire time.
I wouldn't say it's hard like manual labor, but you literally stand for 8 hours straight.
Gotcha.
And there's like nothing else to do except for take a credit card, swipe it, hand a person a ticket. Anyway, so at the end of that shift, you obviously feel really good when you sit down. So that was kind of my hypothesis for starting this, was it's going to feel really good to sit down after having stood for a long time.
Right.
Which is a really simple hypothesis, but I do think that it is. That's it, man.
It's a small way to make yourself feel a little happier, right? Because, I mean, hey, you put yourself through a little bit more exertion, and then, bam, you get to have that nice, comfy seat. That seat, like after a long day.
One more time. That is exactly, yeah. Because now if I sit down at the end of the day, I don't feel bad about sitting down. I mean, I have a real guilt factor built into me if I'm ever lazy. Like if I'm lazy, I feel just bad about myself, and so sitting does that.
Right.
To me.
It fixes that for you, and at least makes your body a little bit more tired, so it feels good when you sit. So it must be working your body more if it feels a little bit tired when you get to sit down. So bam, that's why it will help, right?
And that's our hypothesis, man. So let's get into what we actually did. I want to hear about you standing up in grad school and throughout your daily life. Let's hear about it.
Yeah, so you mentioned a misunderstanding a couple of times now in the podcast, and that's because I wasn't sure how we were doing the experiment. I guess I thought that it was to attempt to never sit throughout your day,
which I love.
I think I just assume the worst. I assume the most hardcore if you're bringing the suggestion.
Betterhumanology, right? Hardcore.
So that's how I took it. Like you said several times in the show, we don't usually, talk that often, throughout the week during the experiment. We might shoot a text here and there, but it's usually not, in-depth analysis throughout the experiment. We kind of break it down.
We don't want too much bias.
Yeah. We want to give you guys the authenticity of our analysis. So, so the way I started, for the first basically 3 days, while I was just killing my body, my knees, my ankles, just killing my legs to stand as long as I could. I mean, I would be so happy for the opportunity to use the bathroom when I need to sit or to drive somewhere.
Yeah. So unless you were taking a crap or driving, you weren't sitting down or sleeping.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so what it forced me to do was, I might as well just go for another run. And that's what I did the second day is I went for a second run because I was like, I mean, what else can I do? It hurts more to stand here and lean against something than it does to go for a run. And so that's a great thing. I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about is what I liked at least about the experiment to say a little bit offhand is that, it creates that mindset, for you to get up and do more things because you're already, forcing yourself to push your body a little bit further. I mean, if it's only standing versus sitting, you're still, starting that train of thought to get going. I thought that was awesome.
So you're saying it's like a natural catalyst to make you better?
Yes. Yeah.
I agree. I think when I stood all day as a teacher, the first year I would sit down a lot. The second year I had a standing desk, and I just felt like I had a lot more energy at the end of the day to do what I needed to do after the work day. So
it gave you energy.
How did it give me energy?
So it gave you energy. I
feel like it gave me energy because the year prior when I was done with the work day, I just kind of wanted to go home and veg out. But this year I was able to commit to a pretty rigorous and stringent workout program after. So I would have energy just by standing all day and have energy throughout the classes. So I think it gave me energy as opposed to making me feel super duper exhausted. I don't know, but
Well, you bring up a good point because I know how to make someone feel absolutely exhausted. And that is if you were to sit down all day, eat a diet that is primarily carbohydrates, and not work out. And I'm not saying this is what you did. I'm just saying this is the recipe for having like the worst day ever. So high carb diet, sit down all day, and don't work out. You're going to feel like the worst human being on the planet. But for some reason, standing up is just like this. I don't know. You're burning more calories. You feel, and we've talked about this a lot before, Talon. Like the whole mental aspect to everything. Like, it does not matter if it only burned like a little bit more calories. If you feel better about yourself, then that's all that matters, right? I mean, if you feel more energized. So you said you felt more energized at the end of the day, right, D?
Yeah, I felt a lot more energized, and I was burning more calories. And I think in a previous episode when you guys talked about wearables, that's how I was getting all those steps, is because I was on my feet all day long. So that's how I was getting all those steps. And about calorie burning, I got something up right here. It says 150-pound person burns 147 calories per hour. So multiply that by 8. That's 1,176 calories.
By standing?
By standing.
He's a math guy.
But I really agree with what Jerred was saying, because anytime, I mean, just giving yourself that, I mean, changing that mindset a little bit and putting that like feeling, I feel a little bit more energetic because you switched that one thing up to where you're standing throughout your day, and it changed you where you had that more positive mindset, more energetic mindset. That's just a huge positive. That's awesome.
I think. So, have you ever wanted to like start running, and so you bought new shoes?
Oh, I mean,
and it kind of it kind of motivates you to run more, right?
Absolutely.
That's in all honesty, that's how I look at the entire Better Humanology podcast right now. Is like we're always trying something new that makes us a little bit more like energetic, a little bit more enthusiastic, and in all honesty, a little bit better. So I really hope that everyone's following along with some of these experiments or trying them out. If you haven't, go back in the podcast and try some of them out. But I do want to talk about me standing up a little bit. So I work on my computer primarily. We all have a little bit different experiences here. D, he's a teacher. He stands up all day, does a lot of standing just by the nature of his job, and that energizes him a little bit more. Talon is in grad school and is looked at as the complete weird ass if he stands up in the back of the class, but he did it anyway. And I'm just working on my computer. And so for me, I kind of made a makeshift standing desk. If I'm working in my garage, which I do from time to time, I have some jerk boxes in my garage, and I just set my laptop on top of that, and I try to do some standing. If I'm working at my desk, then I use a combination of basically cardboard boxes to elevate my keyboard, mouse, and monitor. But whatever. What I found is it's a lot more taxing than you think it is. I mean, even if you work out all the time, because your hips start to feel it a little bit, your lower back might start to feel it a little bit, and if you're not standing on comfortable ground, like in my garage, I have cement flooring, and if I don't stand on something soft, then yeah, my knees are going to feel it, my ankles are going to feel it, but that is, I think, where we all kind of go wrong in the standing experiment, is that you should cycle it on and off, and once I realized that, I started to institute this, it's called the Pomodoro technique, which is a productivity technique of working for 25 minutes and then taking a break for 5 minutes. So I started doing that later in the standing experiment. So I would stand for 25 minutes and then I'd sit for 5. And then sometimes, you might get wrapped into something or a project or whatever, and then you might end up standing for an hour, but still sit down for a little bit. So I think that's a great place to start if you are going to try standing. But overall, my experience with standing, yes, it made me tired. At the end of the day, it made me feel better when I sat down. Like I felt like I deserved to sit down. But I felt so much more energy. I don't know. I loved it, man. I love standing all day. It kind of sucked, but I loved it at the same time. Does that make sense? Yeah,
it totally makes sense to me. One thing that really came to mind when you're talking about your experience, is those first 3 days for me is just the lean is your friend.
The lean is your friend.
The lean is your friend, but that's what it was for me.
We're all standing right now doing this podcast, just as a FYI.
Yeah, just a little pay homage to the experiment this week. But
I got a lean going.
I totally agree, though. After I got past the weird misunderstanding where I needed to lean or be running or be moving to survive, after that, I really had the same experience as you. I mean, it motivated me a little bit more to be that much more active. So for me, I would say it was definitely a positive, and I'll go ahead and jump to an approval for me. Just attempting to stand more often just has so many benefits. I mean, I'll go ahead and also, before I get too far away from the approval, I did my heart rate, beats per minute, and just from standing, my heart rate raised 20 beats per minute on average. So I mean, and I wasn't doing anything like walking or anything crazy. I mean, I might have been even leaning a little bit. So I mean, it's an approval for me just because obviously there are pretty much no ends to the benefits.
Did you give us all the scary stats on standing?
I did.
I completely forgot about all that then.
Didn't I? I think I did. I did it so many times. I
Vanderbilt.
think I forgot now.
Dee, do
We
you
talked
know
about Vanderbilt.
you did give a Vanderbilt, but did you give any of the other stuff?
Oh, you want to hear the other stuff?
Yes.
Let's see. What's some other stuff? What I forget?
Instill the fear. Instill the fear.
All right, so I do think that before. All right, so you got your resting heart rate and everything, but we need a little fear mongering. We need people to not sit down. So I mean, if they're sitting down right now, we need to scare them so much that they are going to stand up. So Talon, I know you have some data that's going to back up a stand up worthy sentence or information.
I do.
So make people stand up right now.
If you're sitting right now, you are gonna die. Well, you're more
That's
likely
it.
to.
Boom, there it is.
Absolutely.
You're
There
more
it is.
likely to die. You are 40% more likely to die if you are spending at least 6 hours sitting each day. If you're a woman, you are 94% more likely to die if you're spending at least 6 hours sitting a day. If you're a man, you're 48% more likely.
I wonder why the difference there.
You know, that's scary. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, and we don't do the studies, people. We just
My heart
publish
goes
the
out to our
information.
female listeners
Yeah.
and females around the world because 94%. And with, I think I mentioned the Vanderbilt study earlier, right? With the average American spending 8 hours,
Yeah,
7.7. Yeah. And I mean, so that means that, the average American woman is more likely to die than those that don't spend that much time
But
sitting.
don't women live longer than men?
I was just thinking that same thing.
Not
Yeah,
they're
but
sitting.
That's because we
Not
do
if
crazy
they're
stuff like jump off of bridges and things like that.
Maybe that's what the difference is women don't sit that often. They're more on
Maybe
their feet
women
than men.
work harder than men. We need to get a woman on the podcast because women are already closer to the better humanness that we seek.
That must be the case.
Did I just blow everyone's mind?
No sarcasm for real.
No,
I mean,
yeah. No.
I mean, I think that's a fair hypothesis. The women I know spend so much time on their feet.
Well,
Got to be more.
My wife listens to 50% of these podcasts, so I have to make sure I throw in the... Yes, women are better.
Agreed.
I feel like we just pulled the pin out of a hand grenade and then all ran away. So let's bring it back. So you got any more stats for us, man?
No more stats.
Okay, so sitting is terrifying. There are some blog posts and information out there that say sitting is the new smoking.
Sitting's making us fat. There's lots of data out there on the detriments of sitting.
And I'll publish
I got
a few articles, or I'll put a few articles in the show notes for this one particularly. But I know the Art of Manliness had a good post on sitting, and I'm paraphrasing here because I don't remember it exactly, but sitting for like longer than 20 minutes in your brain activity level drops, and like your I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to misquote it here, but like your brain starts to function at a lower degree, and so your metabolism slows, your productivity slows down. Everything starts to get worse the longer you sit. Is basically what I'm trying to say. So sitting's just bad, man. Sitting is good for no one.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it. I don't think we were made to be stagnant.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to caveman times, there were no chairs, right?
Nomads.
No.
Nomads.
That's what
I got a list here.
Give me the list. Give me the list, D.
Higher risk of obesity.
All right.
Higher risk of type 2 diabetes and other metabolic problems.
Oof.
Higher risk of cardiovascular disease. Higher risk of cancer, and a lower long-term mortality risk if you are standing.
So you're going to be fat and dead if you sit a lot.
Pretty much, that's what it says.
All right, guys, throw the TV out, close your computer, ditch the car, run to work. I think the real point here is
Get up off your feet.
Is doing the best you can, because
do what you'll feel better.
sometimes I think it gets crazy when you talk. If you try to do everything that you're supposed to do in a day, between eating like the 19 servings of vegetables that you're supposed to have, and stand all day, and drink this much water, and work out this many times, and it gets a bit overwhelming. And so you can do one of two things when you get overwhelmed. You can quit, or you can do the best that you can do. And so I don't think that anyone needs to like take a black or white stance on standing. I think you just, if you try to stand more than you currently do, that will make you better. And that's kind of the point I want to make there, because try it out with whatever you have. There are things out there. One of the things I'm thinking about purchasing, it's called a Veridesk, and it's like 2 or 3 or something, a couple $100, but it converts from sitting to standing really easily, and it's a great way to transition from sitting to standing, because you don't have to just stand all the time if you want to do a standing desk thing. You could split your time.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be a point of anxiety. I mean, just if you can, keep in your mind a couple of times a day to just try to stand as much as you can, it's going to help you out. I mean, for me, I mean, I'm kind of funny like that. I just wrote an S like on my thumb, but I mean, you could put a rubber band on. You could just try and put a little note in your head. You could put a reminder on your phone. There's lots of ways you could incorporate it without trying to add something else that you need to worry about each day. But just putting the nugget out there. The more you can think about it, and the more that you have it pop into your head, the more often you will stand, and the benefits thereafter will ensue.
Yeah, and the benefits increase greatly too, because I mean, just cutting that number in half, instead of going from 7.5 hours to like 3.75 hours of sitting down, you definitely increase the benefits. So
stand up, squatting position, whatever you got. All right, so let's go around the house. Approved, disapproved. D, let's start with you. Approved or disapproved? Standing.
Approved. Put a stamp on it.
All right, D, or Talon.
I've already approved.
Yeah, you jumped the gun on your approval.
I sure did.
You were so excited.
results up front.
Results in the middle of the show.
You will get results.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go against the grain here. Totally kidding. Approved. Definitely give it approval. This one was pretty easy. Standing does suck a small amount, but so does working out, and I enjoy that as well. So, approved, dude. Better human approved. Go stand up this week, become a better human, and that's it. All right, guys. Peace out.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us this week, D.
No problem. Anytime.
Losers always whine about their best.